So it looks like all of our changes are complete. So I'm going to try building this and running it. Debug. Start without debugging. Okay, so this is our form, and our inputs could be something rather. Set text, you see this works, and button set text also being clicked. So everything is working as this lab was asking us to do. I'm just going to exit now, and I would like to review once again everything, the entire code base of this application that we have so far. So for this, I'd like to open our source files. So what I really need, I already have our demo window, which currently contains all of these functions, the definitions of our functions. And in addition to this, I'll open this main function that we have, and also the header file for the fluid. And as well, we may as well just take a look at the implementation file, just to walk through everything like this. So first of all, Fluid generated the class for us. The class is populated with constructor and 4 pointers. So basically, when let's open our, I'll move it to the new tab group right here, and our main function creates demo window, and demo window, I'll also move it to the new vertical tab group. New demo window inherits everything from this class. So when we create an instance of demo window, it will be creating internally, because it inherits from fluid window, it will create an instance of this class like this. So internally there will be a box which will contain these 4 pointers: win app, input box, output box, and the button. So their types are double window, input, output, and button inside fluid. FLTK library. So this is the picture of these 4 pointers inside our object of this type, fluid window. Of course, demo window inherits everything from fluid window. This means that at runtime we're going to combine the definitions of both classes. So demo window at runtime will arrange itself around the fluid window. So it's like a bigger box which will contain internally the fluid window box. We really don't have any data here, only functions. So this really, so far this class does not add any of its own data members to this picture. It's just like theoretically it's just built itself around this. So when we execute our main function, we create a copy of window, which is this is what it is. This window is this big box around the smaller box, which contains all this. And of course, when the object is created, its constructor is invoked. So inside fluid window constructor, I cannot open this right now because I'm in the drawing mode, but we will see in a second that when constructor executes of this fluid window, this constructor right here, what it's going to do is that it's going to first create a window, which is the user interface, the object that will hold the representation of the entire window, and then it'll create input box, output box, and button. All right, so it'll create these objects like this. So there will be this object, and there will be another object, and another object. So it will construct all these objects dynamically. Okay, so one more. So let's say that this is our button. Now notice that these 4 objects, 1, 2, 3, 4, created by constructor right here, they are not visible gadgets. They are objects which are maintained or given to us by FLTK library to manage a user interface. So eventually when we say show, right, so this double window has a function named show, which we eventually call, and so supposedly this bigger box is a window, right? So when it receives the show call from us, it will then create the actual user interface, right? So it will construct on screen. There will be a visible window with the Xbox, the title bar, and our gadgets: the input box, the output box, and the button. And now these 3 say this is a button. The button will be controlling the button gadget. The output box will be controlling the output box. And this object, input, FL input type, right here supposedly, will be controlling this input box. Okay, so we already telling our button to remember the callback function. So now in our demo window class, we provide a function somewhere. I'll just draw it right here. This is a static function, so it's safe to show it outside. And we say that at the time when we're just before we call show this user interface, we tell this button, okay, so this is the button, which is this FL button thing right here, okay. We tell it so that we wanted to remember the callback, and we tell the button that this is the callback that we want you to remember. But we also, again, we don't see this next parameter, we also pass it this parameter. In other words, a pointer, there is another parameter right here named this, which is a pointer to this demo window object in memory. So the button will remember function to callback. This is our function, callback function. This is static function, static callback function. And in addition, we're asking this button to remember the location of our demo window object in memory. It doesn't even know that this is our object. We just tell it, remember this physical address in memory. And then when the user clicks right here, so the user uses the mouse right here, and the user clicks the button, of course, knows that it receives notification from the library, from the operating system, from the library, and knows that it needs to call this function. So it calls this function, but as a parameter to this function, it also passes this pointer to the demo window object in memory that we constructed right here. So our static function, the handler for this button, will get as a parameter, right? It will get this pointer. It will get access to our object in memory. In other words, we pass it as this pointer, as this callback includes this other second parameter, this parameter, which is the pointer to our object. So see how the show is invoked, and it's invoked for window. So the address of this window is here, passed as this pointer to this function. So anyway, eventually when the button makes a call into our function callback button set text, it gets it passes pointer to our window as a parameter. So from there we recover this. We get it as user data, but we convert this user data to pointer to demo window, and of course this pointer right here becomes a pointer to this object right here, right? So this is the pointer that we get, and once we have the pointer, we immediately use the pointer to pointer to member access operator to call click button set text, which is a normal function inside this demo window class. And now this function, which I call event handler, this is like something real, something useful to do. This is all plumbing. Static functions are only to make connections with the library, but this is really just something that does something real. And here we just go ahead and we tell the input box to give us the value, and tell the output box to accept new value, and you've seen these updates are happening. And so once again, each member function, non-static member function of a class, which of course requires object to be invoked, right? So this function has to be invoked with an object because it's a normal member function of this class. And so once it's called, this pointer right here becomes a pointer to the object for which this show function was invoked. And therefore now we have access to our window, and this makes possible the entire setup that I was trying to show you here. So this is how everything works. So once again, just a quick walk through. We create the window. We say window show. Window show, of course, during this time, the constructor is invoked for demo window, but it does nothing. But internally, the fluid window is also constructed. And it does have a constructor. This constructor creates 4 objects in memory dynamically using the new operator. And so all of these pointers, WinApp, box, and button, get populated with pointers to actual objects, FLTK gadgets, if you will. And then we call our show, and then of course we use button to set the callback, and we pass this as user data to remember. So then when the button says, okay, I will call this function for you, and when the user clicks the button and we get this call to this callback button set text right here, right? So this pointer, which was pointed to this window right here, or this window right here, now we get it back. And therefore, we're able to go right back inside of our object and find that it has this function and make a call into it, and then do the actual payload that corresponds to whatever we do when the user clicks the button. So this is a quick review of everything that we have built so far, and I think my next step would be that you see how when we define these functions in line directly inside the class body and not implementing them outside in a separate source file, this file becomes crowded very quickly. At the beginning there was just only one function, but now we're just keep populating it with more and more and more and more. So I think soon enough we're going to split this entire definition of a class into a header declaration of a class and a separate file with definitions of functions. So we'll take these definitions out of here and keep only declarations of all functions in the class declaration.